Yeah, guys, we're starting with some breaking news here at 5. Just moments ago, a car erupted in flames. That vehicle was just taken away by a tow truck right here. You can see some of the crew still cleaning up the remnants right now. It's left behind a pretty significant mess. We are learning new information right now about the death of that 2-year-old boy that happened inside the Amish home you can see just behind me. In speaking with the Barron County Sheriff just moments ago, he told me that they just discovered that it was a gunshot that caused his death. Guys, that's right here on Cumberland Trace Road, a very serious accident, a semi versus motorcycle. And as we all know, that is never a good story. I know a lot of people watching remember when all you needed to go to school was a number 2 pencil like this. Unfortunately, though, that doesn't cut it anymore. Now what you need is all kinds of things that are in this sack right here. A composition book, a notebook. I mean, there were people lined up all throughout this highway. This road actually leads into downtown Albany here in Clinton County. The challenging part for road crews are county roads like this one. Allow people to pull into parking spots at Fountain Square Park. Instead, backing up is the only option. It's a question I have for you. This salt right here, and I'll show our viewers, this is the salt that they use to treat the roadways. When I think of salt, I think of something that sits on my table that I put on my food to make it taste better. Is this the same thing, or is it a different mixture?
You know, the old saying, time heals all wounds. I don't believe that, not when it comes to losing a child.
Time cannot bring back a life that was taken far too soon.
That beautiful little blonde-haired girl was full of life, and her life was cut short.
It's been 3 years since Brian and Amy Doolin lost their pride and joy. Gabby.
It's just the constant thought of missing her. And she was always happy-go-lucky, you know, and always smiling. And I don't know, most of the time it's just, you miss the way things were, you know.
Kidnapped, raped, and murdered 1,096 days ago. 3 years have passed, trial dates have been pushed back, and delays have continued to come. All of that in 1,096 days, but still, no justice for Gabby.
I never knew, you know, that our justice system was so slow turning, you know. I just had no clue, and so every time that we've been hit with, it's gonna be longer, it's just, you know, you're just like, wow, really? Why?
The man accused of raping and murdering her, Timothy Madden, pleaded not guilty to the crimes and faces the death penalty. Several times in the case, the defense has requested more time to prepare for trial.
This case has not been delayed in any way, shape, or form.
Madden's defense attorney, Travis Locke, even being dismissed in May, pushing the trial back once again, leaving the Doolins devastated.
Well, as soon as that happened, I mean, there again, you know, common sense just played in. You know it's going to be put off again because the new guy has to have time to do whatever Travis Locke's been doing for the last 2.5 years.
All we have heard is about the criminal that we sit in the courtroom with. Every time we go in there, all we hear is about his constitutional rights. And Gabby's not really had a voice. You know, we've tried to do, you know, our small part to give her a voice. But in that courtroom, she doesn't have a voice.
With the new trial date set for September of 2019, there looks to be some hope that it could finally happen if everything continues down the right path. But even in a case that demands justice, time still stands in the way.
Whenever she says the trial's starting, that's when I'll believe it. Until then, you know, you never know.
3 years of pain, agony, and suffering through a parent's worst nightmare, Brian and Amy still know that no court and no time can take away from their daughter's legacy. What do you want her legacy to be?
She had a smile that would light up the room, and she just, you know, she was full of life. Absolutely full of life.
Why would someone take this innocent soul? We don't know the answer to that question, and though time will run its course through due process, justice for Gabby will come in due time.
Her presence made not only our lives, but so many other people's lives better.
Uncertainty is something that Carl Cheney is most certain of.
You just don't know.
A fourth-generation farmer, Carl tends to 52 head of dairy cattle every day on the family farm just south of Bowling Green.
What you think, sugar?
But much like the clouds that eclipse the sunshine today, large dairy corporations seem to be casting a shadow on local farmers.
They're not going to be buying milk from other processors. They're going to be processing their own.
It was earlier this year when Walmart announced it would be processing its own milk. Shortly after, Dean's Dairy sent out a letter to 11 farmers in Kentucky telling them to find new business by July 1st.
My brother-in-law and my sister up in Shelbyville, Kentucky, they got a letter. And they are really up in the air. They don't know what they're going to do. I'm just afraid that they're not going to be able to find a market for that milk.
Milk prices have dropped nearly 40% since 2014, forcing countless of Kentucky farmers to sell. It's just hard to keep up nowadays.
That's what we strive for every year, is for the dairy to be self-sufficient. And it's just not possible at these prices.
Walk into the Red Barn just up the drive from the cattle.
What can I get for you guys?
You'll find some of the best ice cream in the state.
There you go, sir.
That ice cream at Cheney's Dairy Barn might just have saved the farm in this crisis.
When there are periods like this, when we lose money here at the farm milking cows, the ice cream store is helpful in subsidizing the cows. But because of the ice cream store, we're able to continue to do business.
4 generations, thousands of cows, countless hours of work. This isn't just a job.
What people don't realize is that dairying is a way of life. It's not just a business. It's not something you get into and you get out of. You build relationships with these cows. It becomes a part of you, becomes a part of your family, and you just don't get out.
Uncertainty brings along fear, but it is reality.
I don't know, it's really sad.
Maybe that's what makes things so difficult for dairy farmers across the state. In Warren County,
It's a hard problem.
Dalton Godbey, 13 News. Tucked away in a grove just outside of Beaver Dam, Kentucky, you'll find a shed.
Come right on in.
Inside, a man crafting toys hours on end to give to any and every child he sees.
Believe it or not, I get a real joy out of seeing the reactions to children and even to grandparents when I give them toys for their grandchildren.
Randall Lytle has been at this longer than he can remember. He crafts toy cars, among other things, to simply give away.
I love making things and giving them away.
He recalls reactions from folks like the teacher of a class he donated toys to.
She said some of those kids could quote you word for word. That was such a blessing to me.
A blessing to the toy maker, maybe, but the amount of blessings he's created are drilled into every toy and every person he's touched.
I have had such a good life. I'm just trying to give back. The good Lord says, do good, and I'm trying. That's the whole thing.
When Randall thinks about the joy he creates in children all across the area, he's touched by the impact that's crafted inside a little tool shop just outside of his cabin.
I'm sorry if I get emotional. That's just the way an old codger is.
You may think Randall would get tired of making all these toys. Think again, though. He has no plans of stopping.
As long as the good Lord allows it. When he takes me home, why, that'll be the end of it.
In Beaver Dam,
It helps me keep on keeping on.
Dalton Godbey, 13 News.